Greetings and welcome to Calm Clear Conversations. I'm Christopher Johnson with Calm Clear Communications, and with me today is Danielle Harris. All right, let me say it. Let me say it the right way. I don't have to stretch it all the way out. Danielle Harris.
Because it's so complicated.
It is like how many syllables?
Yeah,
I
well,
I have yeah. I'm
you
not
missed
one.
my
Well,
middle initial though, so
Danielle R. Harris.
there you go.
Okay, the Danielle R. Harris.
First of my name, all that stuff.
And Danielle, you are a marketing and mindset maven.
Yeah, sure. I'll take that. I'll take that title. No, I focus on marketing, and something that I've definitely incorporated a lot more recently is mindset, because I realized that the reason why people are or aren't marketing themselves is because of the mindset and the things that they're playing in their head as to why they are or aren't doing certain things. And so for myself, realizing what some of those blocks are so I can better be able to point them out in other people, help them to overcome that so they can then just get to the strategy. Because that's honestly what everyone always wants. They want the marketing strategy, but then they don't realize, like, oh, well, you're not doing this one part of the strategy because you're afraid, or X, Y, and Z other excuse thing. So you get to that, and then you can keep going forward with the strategy part that everyone wants to get at.
Okay. Now, what was your path to this? I mean, it, you were in quote unquote corporate America.
I was.
You
I
were
was.
on that trajectory. You were on that. Um, that's where you were. So, moving from that, what was the mindset shift in being part of corporate America to now you are founder CEO of a consulting firm?
Yes. Well, that sounds a lot more so than what I was thinking of it as. I thought of it more so as, this is not what I have a passion for. This particular topic and industry was not something that I enjoyed myself. And as I looked for other jobs with other organizations, I also thought, this is also still not what I want to do or have in mind. So if I didn't find it where I was currently at, and I wasn't seeing it already out in the world, I realized, okay, well, then I guess I need to do it for myself. And that was a thought pattern, not like, oh, well, now I need to be a changer of the industry and the CEO and all these things. It was more of, I need to carve my own space for me to feel comfortable, because I'm clearly not seeing it out in other places. Because honestly, going out and finding another job someplace else would have been an easier route. And not that it is easy, because there are so many people that are looking for jobs and can't find those things. But I would say that it's equally, if not more so, difficult to create something from the ground up and build it and grow it to, whatever it is that you dream of growing it to be. So that's how I came about that. I didn't find something that truly lit me up, so I'm making something that truly lights me up.
That just, the energy involved when that, with that, just, it is a different sort of thing. Working for someone else, um, when it's not your passion, when it's not your drive, well, it still has to get done. Bills have to get paid. But when it's yours, does that, are you more motivated?
Yes and no, because there's always things that you're just like, I really don't want to do this. Okay. Taxes don't light me up, but I still have to go through and do bookkeeping and taxes and accounting, and a lot of that mundane stuff of, like, oh, okay, I need to go back through, I need to schedule this meeting, I need to do this. A lot of the administrative side of things, as a small team of one, you're just like, oh, well, it's all on me. It's not like, oh, I can go and delegate that. A lot of times you can't. So it falls all on you. But what's good is that you're connected to that higher reasoning and that higher desire to do something else and you realize that I'm doing this for now. And later on, I will be able to grow and see this vision come to light. And so this is what I have to do right now in order to get to the place that I want to get to. But there is no avoiding the stuff that you
Well,
don't like,
no,
don't want to do.
no, there's not. And how long has your company been around?
So in name, it started, filed my LLC for it in 2019. And then it stayed in that state of just a name. And then I would say it wasn't until summer of 2020 that I started to take it more seriously, and August of 2021 until I took it very, very seriously as the primary focus of what I was doing. So it's been a little bit of a journey, a lot of discovery of what it is that I want to do, what I don't want to do, lots of thinking I knew something, realizing I don't know as much as I thought that I did, getting a re-education and things. So it's very cliche, but it has absolutely been one of the greatest personal development journeys that I've been on, learning a lot about myself and how I like to work and want to work, but it has very much been beneficial.
Excellent. So this started out then as a side hustle.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I started off on Fiverr. I was helping people advise on social media content. I helped churches. I helped nonprofits. I helped individuals with consulting companies coming up with social media plans, which is very on track with what I did in my 9 to 5 job, where I started off doing social media management and then I did a lot of event marketing and then ultimately did branding stuff, trade show stuff, and at the very end, international strategy and development of unique programs for global markets. So I've done a lot of different things and I was able to pull in all of those expertise for the people that I was working with on the side. And then I collapsed a lot of the social media management portion of it and started to focus exclusively on strategy because I remembered that, oh, I actually don't like social media management, which is why I requested to not do that anymore in my 9 to 5. And I said, why did I create a company to do the exact thing that I didn't want to do? That did not make any sense at all. So it's like I always said that I wanted to focus on strategy in my job. And then I created a company to do the thing that I didn't want to do. I said that doesn't make sense. That's the antithesis of what I wanted to do. So I went and I focused on the strategy and positioned myself to say, like, I have this background in all of these other areas and I can help with social media, but from a strategy perspective and from a more holistic. It's not just this one piece, as a look at the entire piece and how these other pieces fit into the whole puzzle.
And one of the things that I love about that is how curiosity informs the direction. If you have background in A, B, C, and D, but your focus is F, because of your understanding of those other things, like, all right, so I know what my strategy is going to involve. I know that I know how to apply those things to my strategy.
Mhm. And I think for me personally, I like to call myself a very deep knowledge generalist. There are so many people these days that are always talking about you need to be super niche down and you need to be very focused on one particular talent. Whereas I think that you can just be a generalist for a niche group of people, whether as, like, oh, I focus on this one particular platform for this one particular thing, which is all great. It all works, it's all fine. That's not what I do. I know a lot about a lot of things in marketing, and I choose to focus it on people that are at the early stages of growing their business because that's who I feel as if most of the time are kind of all over the place and need to have some grounding. But yeah, you're right. Like I can pull my experience from this thing, that thing, the other thing, and say like, oh, we can create a strategy because I know what all of these different things are. And this gives you a great foundation. And yeah, you can always go and talk to people that's like, oh, they're a copywriting specialist for this particular thing. Yeah, you can do that, but you have a great foundation to give to someone like, this is my strategy where I'm going. And they won't spend as much time trying to figure you out. So you already figured yourself out and what you need to do.
You already figured yourself out. That, yeah. Who is your ideal client?
So, like I said, I like working with people that are at the earliest stages of building up their business. So, most of the people that I work with tend to have been in business for 3 or less years. They are mostly women that I work with, and are they run the gambit, honestly. I've had people that are in creative spaces, so they're makers, they're artists. I worked with consultants, whether they work in marketing as just another person getting up and started, or they're um, like business strategy type people where they come into organizations and they help people with organizational structure. I've worked with people that are travel agents. I've worked with a wide variety of people, but the real thing that most of those people have in common is that they are within the early stages where they're are still trying to figure out, okay, what exactly is the messaging and the marketing. And the other thing they have in common is not being familiar with marketing at all. They know their particular area very well, but they've never saw themselves as needing to have marketing skills in their life. They know what they know and realize, okay, but I don't know this. So I definitely need help.
And that's where you come in. You help with that mindset shift to understand to understand what marketing needs they have.
Yes.
Okay.
And really what it is, it's that, like I said, most of the people that I work with never thought that they needed to use marketing in their life. They either worked for other companies and they are just like, okay, yeah, like this is how I fit into this puzzle. I do this one particular task. And now they find themselves needing to do all these tasks and they want to get more people in so they can do the thing that they know how to do well, but are then realizing, oh, but I need to learn all these other new skills in order to bring people in to do the thing that I do very well. And first of all, getting over the mindset of, do I even know what I'm talking about, what I'm doing? And on the one hand, they're just like, yeah, I know exactly what I'm talking about for this, and I'm in this particular arena. But then they're thinking like, oh, but it's something completely different to market myself. It's not. You are talking about the things that you are already such an expert in, and you're just using it in a way that you probably haven't done it before. You're given tons of presentations on this one topic. So how is it different to go on LinkedIn Live or on IG Live or wherever else to talk about the same type of thing? You've been doing it before, but most of the time it's thought of as like, nope, but that's completely different. It's a transferable skill, and it's helping people to realize that a lot of the things they already have that they've already been doing is highly transferable, and you can do it in new ways to help you to gain an audience and people that want to work with you because they see, oh yeah, that person is clearly in their zone of genius.
Sounds a bit like storytelling.
It absolutely is storytelling. You got to tell a compelling story because that's what people get attracted to for eons and eons. A good story draws everyone in.
It does. And the fun of marketing is finding new ways to tell that story.
Mhm. New
Um,
angles, ways
mhm.
that you haven't said it before, plot twist stories. People love a good plot twist. All of those different ways to get people engaged and listening and eyes a little bit longer on what it is that you have to say. And it just takes practice.
So we have a question from the audience from Julie. Does Instagram have a time limit for their lives?
That's a good question. Not that I've noticed, but I also don't think most people have the bandwidth to actually go for longer than an hour and a half or so on a linked or on an Instagram live, just because that's the nature of the platform is to be a little bit quicker. So yes, I've seen some long ones, but the really intent purpose is for I've seen people do a lot of things. I've seen people use Instagram lives and then they record it and use it for the purposes of podcasts and other things later because they dual record it for that. But as far as a time limit, I haven't seen it, but I you're gonna have some drop offs. I wouldn't do like a 2 hour long IG live. I wouldn't do it. I don't think people are gonna watch it.
Well, then, all right. Key to everything, though, is knowing what you're going to say and having a clear idea of what the message you're trying to communicate is,
Oh
correct?
yeah, absolutely. And so for most of the ones that are on the longer side, they're usually interview type styles. And IG Live has the new feature where you can have more than one, because before it was just a one-off type of thing, and now you can have, I forget what they call it, it's groups, and you can have 4 people on a live at a time. So the more people, that does make it more engaging, and people will watch it for longer. But at the same time, like no one truly wants to watch two hours. It has to be very good and very engaging. If that's not the case, then an hour and a half will do.
And for most messages, is shorter better or longer?
So here's the trick. Short messages are harder than long messages because people tend to ramble and over explain and they go for a longer time. Short and sweet is actually the hardest thing to do.
There's a quote often attributed to Mark Twain about uh, the length of a letter. I didn't have time to write a short letter, so I wrote a long one. I mean, because a short letter, yeah, compact, clear, concise, and it takes honing that message. A long letter, well, the day started off with this, and we went in that direction, and then this direction, and then finally we wound up here. Oh, and yeah, that's really what I wanted to talk about here.
Mhm. Yep, everyone knows that conversation where there's excess detail on something that you actually don't even really care about, but getting straight to the point, that takes the practice. So, if you have like a short thing where you can get all the information that you really want and is gonna be impactful in a short amount of time, I say do that. But there also is still a place for long form because the deeper that you go in a concise manner as well, then you're going to get more richness out of everything. But like I said, the shortness or the brevity of it, as well as like the length and the I don't want to say long windedness, but it does matter. It just depends on who you're trying to talk to. If you are just trying to attract people that aren't that familiar with you, then getting to the point quickly is going to be important. For people that like you and trust you and want to hear what you have to say, they can very much appreciate a longer format where you go deeper and you can really show off all the skills and the nuance that goes into all the different topics that you have to talk about. So, lives are good for that to try to go into depth, but any other type of format, I like to go short and then direct people to something that's a little bit longer if they become more interested or
Okay.
want to become more interested.
Now, is a podcast in your future?
It is. When? Maybe Q3 2022 to Q4, possibly.
All
I
right.
need to work on it. I need to work on it. But yes, it's in my future.
A book?
My dad says that I should have written several books by now.
Your dad sounds really wise.
He likes to think he is. Yes, no, by now I should have had several books out. I should have moved from children's book written by a child, moved on to young adult by a young adult, and so I should have been at least on book number 4 by this point. As far as a book on marketing, I don't see it yet. I'm not going to rule it out. Never say never. I don't see it quite yet.
Okay.
That's not in my planning anyway.
Yet. All right.
Yet.
So before the launch of your podcast, what are some podcasts that you enjoy listening to?
Okay. So let me pull it up right now, just so that I get it absolutely right for the people.
And
I
we'll
have.
I'll put
Okay,
a
yeah, go
list
on.
of these in the comments. I'll follow up with this by putting a list of them in the comments, and I'll share some of my own as well. I'm sure there is overlap because from what I know of you, you are a lifelong learner and constantly curious. So you're listening to a variety of things.
I am. So the one thing I'm going to plug right now is the Shine Online podcast by Natasha Samuel. She is the queen of all things Instagram and Instagram strategy. So very much want to listen to that. And then that's the main one. I'm also listening to one called Wholehearted Coaching. And so that's very much a mindset focused podcast with Sharon Eskandani. And I love those two. Those are the ones that I'm definitely very much listening to on a regular basis. But then I also have like, actually, no, I was going to go in off into books. I have like a long list of books that I want to get into, but I haven't actually. And then I had like this Audible, like there's a lot of stuff on my shelf. And then there's things that I'm like 45 minutes into listening and then jump out and avoid, not avoid, but like I haven't gotten back to it. Just haven't gotten into like a good stride of like listening to it and sitting down and getting into it. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff.
Okay. The last book that you read that you would recommend is?
Grit by Angela Duckworth.
Oh, that is one of my favorites.
Yeah. The second I finished that, I was like, oh, everyone should read this. Everyone should read this book. I should read this book again. Actually, so I listened as an audible, and I'm the type of person where if I like something enough, I think I should just actually have the physical book itself. So I want to go and get the physical book of that to just like flip through and go back and pick out the things that I want. But yes, that's such a good book.
You know, I wholeheartedly agree. And she's on a podcast on a weekly basis with Stephen Dubner, No Stupid Questions. And I recommend that as well.
That's a good one. Good suggestion. I'll go check it out. But yeah, that book, phenomenal.
It is. Yeah. Now, in a different direction, two books that I would recommend. Music is History by Questlove
Okay.
and Dilla Time by Dan Charnas.
What is that one? What is that one about?
So Jay Dilla is from Metro Detroit, and he has changed how music is made. There was considered to be straight time and swing time, and now there's a third, which is more than that, Dilla time, bridging the gap between a couple of different types of music. His He has equipment in the Smithsonian
Mm,
because of the beats that he made. He has influenced a variety of artists in a variety of genres. The two books together, Dilla Time and Music is History, dovetail nicely. And because we're in Metro Detroit, there is a lot of Detroit overlap.
mm. I
So
mean,
I
Detroit
highly
is part of music history, so makes a lot of sense.
absolutely. It did not start with Motown, and it doesn't. Motown does not encompass the whole of Detroit music history. It's a part.
Mhm. So there's so many things in it. So I will be the first to admit that although I enjoy music, music as a history and as like in detail is not something that I personally dive deep into, but I very much appreciate it and appreciate the people that there are a lot of people I surround myself with that know a lot about it, and I very much appreciate that. And also at the same time, I'm just like, I just like this beat. I don't know. I don't know who does it, who produced it. I don't know. I just like it. It's a cool beat. What are they saying? I don't know what they're saying. I just like the beats. So I swing on both sides. Where it's just like, oh, it's so much meaning, or it's just like, I don't know. It just sounds funky. I like it. It's good
I
across the
understand.
spectrum of all types.
I understand completely. Uh, what attracts us is sometimes random and like, wow, why does that resonate this time? It just
Hmm.
does. And what about other media consumption like TV or movies, or is there something there that you would recommend? I mean,
Mm.
because marketing, I understand that is a large part of who you are. Mindset, okay. But there's more to Danielle R. Harris.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm gonna segue this from music into the TV and movies. So I recently, although I was saying like, oh, music, whatever, I don't care, but I recently got into the K-pop group BTS. So I very much like them. If you want a song to kind of like intro you into that, I actually have a little list. So We On, Airplane Part 2, and Boy With Love would be some good ones to kind of introduce yourself. And that all stemmed from an not early, but recently within the past couple years, introduced to Korean dramas because I was going through Netflix. I had exhausted my consumption. It was December time. I'd gone through all the Christmas themed romantic comedies. I was like, well, let me find something else. And the thing that I happened to find was in Korean, and it took me on this new rabbit hole of all these Korean dramas. So I suggest Crash Landing on You or Vincenzo as ones in that drama or that genre. But I also just recently watched Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness because I definitely also like Marvel movies. I would say that that was solidly okay. And I also watched Moon Knight within that same genre. I would also say that that was okay. It wasn't for me. It wasn't for me. But I watched it because I feel like for Marvel, you need to have a good solid foundation of all the properties to understand all the pieces that they're putting together. As far as outside of that, I saw The Adam Project
Hmm.
on Netflix. That was good. With there's some time travel and there's some former superheroes in that one. And what else did I see recently that was halfway decent? I think that kind of rounds out the list.
Okay.
Like I watch a lot of things. Some are solidly just like okay to watch, and other things are just like, oh, well, I recommend that. Like, oh, I watched The Gilded Age by Julian Fellows, who also wrote Downton Abbey. That I didn't like the main character. I liked all the supporting characters on that, not the main one. But I did also on the Julian Fellows trick. I will go and watch the new Abbey movie when that comes out. So I will suggest going to that. But yeah, so that's I could talk about movies and TV stuff for a while, but I don't want to get too deep into that unless I know that these are people that are like very much going to geek out and nerd out on that particular stuff because it can go off of all different types of shoots of everything.
Well, but that's the beautiful thing. And something that I've noticed creative people, and hey, if you're an entrepreneur involved in marketing and mindset and coaching and business, well, then yes, you are a creative. Creative people appreciate creativity.
Oh
They
yeah.
they take in other people's creativity because creativity spurs creativity.
I agree. I agree. And something that's funny, I bought myself a little sketch journal because I realized like, oh, like I need to create something, but that's something outside of what I typically call myself as good at. And so I was like, oh, let me draw stuff. I've never considered myself someone that can draw, but I wanted to do something that was creative, but that I also won't judge myself as like, oh, like it has to be like this level of good in order for it to be of worth or value. And so I just have like this little sketch doodle pad that I keep here at my desk. And I'll admit sometimes when I'm in meetings where I'm not taking the lead, I will doodle and draw, or sometimes just in the morning, I'll just draw some little random things. And it's nice, just a nice little creative outlet. And it's like it's just a little book. Actually, I think I have it. Yeah, I have it right here. I've got like my little doodles of like random stuff, just like little geometric patterns. And I like it. It relaxes my mind and gets me going in nice creative directions.
Exactly. It's setting up success as a creative habit. Um, some people say you cannot schedule creativity. Well, you can have a habit
Mm-hmm.
of, hey, I'm going to draw, I'm going to make, I'm going to do for this time period.
Mm-hmm. Well, and then it gets you into the whole space of, oh, I can only create when the mood strikes me, which then becomes very unreliable. And so, yeah, like maybe only at certain times you do get inspired, but you still have been creating and doing things along the way. So your skills are still sharp. So when you do have that hit of inspiration, because that does happen, that's true, you are well prepared for that because you've been keeping your skills nice and sharp for those random hits.
And all right, that reminds me of The Artist's Way.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that was something I was reading. I will admit I did not finish all of the Artist's Way, but that is something I want to go back to with the whole art of morning pages, talking or writing things out on a daily basis, 3 pages, and artist dates, just sewing something that is going to feel good. And I did do that on multiple occasions, going to like CVS or a dollar store and picking up random things just to create. Another thing that I actually do need to do is go to the Detroit Institute of Art and go look at some art or other museums in the area and take a look at some art just to look and see and be inspired by colors and patterns and just creativity in general.
It's good to get out and explore and appreciate the creativity of others to inspire our own.
Mhm. Absolutely. I encourage it. And
Mhm.
I say that as a reminder for myself, not just for telling people.
Danielle, it's been a delightful conversation.
Oh, yeah. Always
Are
fun
you
talking to you.
same? Are you open to people reaching out and connecting with you if they are not already connected with you?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Find me on LinkedIn and send me a message. Say that, oh, I saw you on this interview and I want to connect. I know I will personally admit that I am bad at the whole personalized message thing in there, but I will also preface this by saying that I typically connect with people that I also have some type of link with. So if I'm not sending them that message, it's probably because I just saw them like a second ago and they know why I'm coming out to them.
True. You know what? I understand. And as a, how about this? Can we do this? You did share with me a link.
Hmm.
If I put that link in the chat for those people who have attended, who have watched, they could download something.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So One of the tools that I created for my clients in particular was a customer messaging guide. So, understanding what words you need to say and what things are going to be of impact to attract your clients to you. And usually it's around the thought of a transformation. You're in this one space and you want to be in this other space. So what are the words to say to prove that like you know what it takes to get from point A to point B? So I created a resource for my clients and I decided, well, I won't just share this with my clients. I'll share this with everyone. So I created the form and it's I will admit like it's going to take some work, but good messaging does take some work and I've provided an outline of what it is that I take my clients through step by step to create a message that really connects with people. So that is my free download. Go enter in your email address and you will get that PDF.
Wonderful. I've placed that in the comments. So, as a bonus, in addition to all of the gems that were dropped, download this and hey, take advantage, utilize the information. Connect with Danielle on LinkedIn. Um, is that your primary? Is that,
I'll be honest, I hang out on Instagram.
okay.
I'm on LinkedIn. I look at it every day. As far as me posting on it, I'm not the greatest at it, but I am there and I
Okay.
look at people's stuff. But my
And
primary is Instagram.
your Instagram, people can look for you on Instagram by searching for.
D.R.Harris Consulting.
Okay. Danielle, thanks again.
Thank you so much. We'll talk again soon.
Absolutely. And let me see. Let me do this. Interested in learning more about any of the items that you've seen in today's session? Leave a comment below. Interested in being a guest? Leave a comment below. I help event planners and organizers produce virtual events. Learn how I can support your virtual event by connecting or leaving a comment. Thanks for watching.